to all the delegates who have taken time out today to visit this medical device Digi Expo. I hope the last 2 days have been interesting for you, and we look forward to your presence for all the forthcoming events. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Crescendo team for giving me this opportunity to speak at this fabulously, amazingly organized events. Today, I'm going to put forth my thoughts on the one thing that can change the overall outcomes of healthcare services and project India in a different light to the whole world. India is a large country with huge diversity. Someone told me recently that you can't consider India as a country. It is like a continent. Ensuring world-class healthcare in this continent is a challenge that will require us to look at the problem from different perspectives. There are some extremely smart people out there who are doing amazing work and addressing some of the problems. I have myself been into medical education, surgical education in particular, for nearly a decade now. And the biggest problem that I have been seeing in the medical education domain is loss of data. Yes, you heard it right. It is the loss of data. Now, look at this, for example. In 2018, AIIMS, the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, apparently did nearly 2 lakh surgeries, 200,000 surgeries. In 2020, after the pandemic began, it was estimated that nearly 600,000, that is 6 lakh surgeries, would have been cancelled in a 12-week period due to the pandemic situation. You can imagine that a country that is doing millions of surgeries every year, doing them in high-end tertiary care hospitals in the metros, and doing them in run-down, dilapidated, makeshift OTs in tier 3, tier 4 towns and rural areas. Doing them using high-end technology like surgical robots, at the same time doing them with the most basic instruments, many of which are manufactured locally. This is a story that everyone in the world needs to know. They need to see our clinical skills. They need to see how we adapt to the situation. They need to see how we manage using less than sufficient instruments and infrastructure, and how, at the end of the day, we are still managing to serve a humongous population of more than 1.3 billion people in a fairly good manner. But to showcase all this, we must first have the data. We need to capture the data. We need to document the data. We need to analyze the data, and then we need to present the data. Unfortunately, all this requires time and money, and we as a country have been left short-handed due to the overwhelming load of patients in each hospital and healthcare center. Today, we are talking of bringing AI into healthcare. We saw quite a few speakers in the past couple of days speaking about AI in healthcare. But we know today that AI requires a lot of data. If we are not recording it, what are we going to feed to our machine learning models? As a nation, if we want to improve our healthcare services, it is going to be imperative to ensure that we capture as much data as possible. But data capture in the healthcare services domain is a very comprehensive and complex topic, and we need to address it one thing at a time. So the question is, why should we do it, and how should we go about capturing video as data during a surgery? Surgeons and hospitals would typically have this question: why should I, in the first place, spend money on something that does not directly affect my work? But the fact is that it does affect your work, and it affects it in a big way. And in the long run, even the indirect benefits will far outweigh the costs. But for now, let's start with the why. Why should we record the surgery? Firstly, the video of the surgery is the sacrosanct data about the surgery. In case of a physician, they can only write out their diagnosis, but cannot show what went on in their minds while reading the patient reports and then coming up with the final diagnosis. However, in case of surgeons, they can actually record the whole procedure. But why should a surgeon record all his surgeries? Let's look at a few things that will improve the outcome of surgeries, improve the surgeon's practice, and help tremendously in improving the healthcare offerings. The first one is teaching. As of today, we know that there is a very small amount of effort that is going into teaching. There are just a handful of centers that do continuing medical education, that do hands-on training. And we know that the best way to teach surgery is to show the surgeon how to do it. But the human body is complex, and hence just showing the video, just one video for one procedure, never suffices. The anatomy is complex, the pathology differs from patient to patient. Even the most simple surgeries can sometimes present as the most challenging ones in case of a particular patient. Hence, the more the videos that a surgeon watches, the more he or she will be aware of the problems. In a country like India, where there are millions of surgeries done every year, this may not be a difficult problem, recording surgeries and showing them. We will look at how it can be done, the infrastructure needed, the hardware, the software in some time. Going on to the second benefit of why we should be doing it is getting help or getting mentored. Now, there is ample research done throughout the world, not just here. I'm saying even in developed countries like US and Europe, that indicate that a very small percentage, less than 1/3, or in reality less than 10% of surgeons have the confidence to do solo surgeries early in their career. And this is true, remember, that even for senior surgeons, when they learn newer technologies, say learning robotic surgery or learning newer surgical procedures. Now, many surgeons have the luxury to get a senior colleague to be available in the OT. So if they are doing their first solo surgery, they will probably call someone, take help, get that confidence. But not everyone is so lucky. But now we have the infrastructure to capture the surgery video in real time and then make use of cutting edge technologies like remote telementoring to take help from not just one, but multiple senior surgeons and experts from anywhere in the world. Can you imagine what kind of a powerful situation that can be? The next and the most critical advantage of recording surgeries is the medico-legal issues. Over the past few years especially, there has been an increasing trend of doctors and surgeons getting sued. The biggest plus that a surgeon has when fighting a medico-legal case is up-to-date documentation, and which includes obviously the video recording as well. We as a country, we are not used to documenting, be it medicine, be it engineering, be it any field, we are a bit averse to documentation. Now, not having one in case of surgeries can result in manipulation of facts by the plaintiff's counsel, which can be easily avoided. And the last but not the least, capturing data helps in research. Now, with data from millions of surgeries, we can publish the most and the best research papers. As of today, we are at an abysmal low on that front. Again, because we don't document, we don't have data, we don't publish. The R&D teams of med device manufacturers also struggle to get good observerships that can help them gather that data for further research. Now, with a camera in every OT, the input data for R&D can ensure amazing products coming from India. And more importantly, this can help in the Make in India movement in a big way. Now let's go to the how we can do it, because everyone would have a question. Okay, I mean, it's easy to do it for surgeries that have cameras built in, but what about others? So let's look at both. Let's look at the simpler option first. If you are a laparoscopic endoscopic surgeon, then all these surgeries are obviously done using a camera. The video can be recorded in two ways: by a recording device from the laparoscope or endoscope vendor. This is simple, elegant, but an extremely expensive solution. And that is what people do not like, and they keep away from this solution, especially surgeons in India. The other, which is a very simple solution, many a times they don't know it, is using a video capture card. Now, there are many in the market. You have brands like Evermedia, Blackmagic, which do not cost much. A good HD card will cost you 10 to 15,000 rupees, which is hardly any price. But you can use that card to interface with your computer, and the video can be stored to your local drive or to an external drive. So in just 10-15,000 rupees, you can record everything. Now this, we were talking of laparoscope and endoscopic surgeries where there is a built-in camera, and it is very simple to do that. But remember, we saw yesterday when in some of the talks that were going on, that that is a very small percentage of surgeries, less than 20%. What happens to the more than 80% surgeries which are done which are called open surgeries? There are no cameras. Not recording these surgeries means losing more than 80% of the data coming from surgery domain. We have been losing this for years now. Let's do something so that we don't lose it henceforth. Now, the best option, how to do it, is to have an OT lights with a camera built in. Now, I will show you. These are the OT lights, as you can see on your screen, with a camera built in. These are from high-end manufacturers like Stryker and Getting A, that is Mackay. But you have local manufacturers as well. The problem is OTs that have old OT light installations, they do not have a facility to install just a camera. And changing the lights is a pretty expensive affair. They are extremely expensive. Luckily, most OT light manufacturers, including the ones that I talked about, nowadays have an option of a single dome light with a top quality full HD camera. All these lights can be either wall mounted or mounted on a stand with caster. So if you have multiple OTs, all that you do is take it in one OT, record your surgery, go to the other OT, just wheel it into the other OT, record the other surgery, and so on. And these are not very expensive. These come at a fraction of a price of a full ceiling OT light and camera assembly. But there will be some who will say, I can't afford even that. Well, if you can't afford even buying a standalone OT light with camera, then do something as simple as a mobile camera mounted on a tripod and record that surgery. But please do that, because it is very important, not just from your perspective, from a nation's perspective, from the world perspective, that we record this data and it will come back to us with benefits that are manifold. You are seeing on screen here now these single dome OT cameras, which have built-in OT lights, which have a camera built in. On the right-hand side, you see a camera without the OT lights. You can just install that in your OT on the ceiling and do the recording. There are many options which are not very expensive. So in spite of these simple solutions, surgeons still don't do that. Hospitals don't do that. They have just one question: what's in it for me? Now, you know, a small investment has a large ROI. I mean, I'm saying this is a small investment. It could cost you maybe $1.5 lakh rupees. If you are a senior teacher, you can get into teaching and recover that investment in no time. I mean, do a few courses. You can become a KOL with some of the leading med device companies, get paid for that, and you would have recovered the investment on your OT light camera or the camera in your OT. If you are starting with new surgeries, if you are not a teacher, but if you are a beginner in your career or starting with new surgeries, you can take help, get the confidence, start doing better, safer surgeries, thus improving your practice. I'm talking of telementoring. So all that you do is use that camera, capture the video, transmit it, ask for some help from a remote surgeon, and lo and behold, you are a confident surgeon doing much better surgery. And the most important thing, like I said before, is the medical legal suits, which are way more expensive than the small investment in infrastructure and will ensure better defense of your case. Now, the surgeons, after saying all this, there will be very few takers for that. So I want to make an appeal to all the surgeons. I want the surgeons they need to take this seriously. The hospitals need to take this seriously. The surgical associations need to take this seriously. And the bodies such as, say, the NMC should make it mandatory. The government has been giving subsidies for so many things. I wonder many a times, why not a subsidy for an OT light camera or an OT camera? And this can be just that one thing added to the list of subsidies that the government gives. Now, for example, I don't know how many of you know of EARNET, which stands for the Educational Research Network, and they offer super high bandwidths to institutions for free. And when I say super high, I'm talking of 10 Gbps, G for gigabits per second. I'm not talking of Mbps. We are talking of 10 gigabits per second. Those are the kind of bandwidths EARNET offers for free. This is a government institution. All that you have to do is contribute your research to the Educational Research Network. Now, if we add a little subsidy for OT cameras, we can make use of things like EARNET, transmit videos, ensure that people learn and get benefits out of it. If we add that little thing to the OT cameras, it can propel Indian healthcare, especially the surgical part of it, into an altogether different orbit. We will be way ahead of the world, teaching the world the best practices and benefiting ourselves in the process. Remember, all that you are giving is going to come back manifold. We will benefit ourselves in this process. So today, I hope all the viewers in this conference, the surgeons, the hospital administrators, the med device manufacturers, the authorities for regulatory bodies, all of them get together and create this nationwide movement. Yes, I am calling it a nationwide movement and nationwide initiative because it is that important. We need to realize that it is that important. So all of us, let us create this nationwide initiative and help in ensuring better surgeries with safer outcomes. I hope my talk here today results in something really good and we see something amazing happening in the world of surgery in the near future. Thank you very much.